Hello, my name is Jared Ludlow, Publications Director at the BYU Religious Studies Center, your weekly resource for gospel scholarship. And today we're going to talk about some resources associated with Come Follow Me reading for July 18th through 24, Ezra and Nehemiah. Both of these are historical context articles that give a lot of valuable information, not only about the time period of Ezra and Nehemiah, but a little bit before and then also later afterwards. The first one is called The Temple of Herod. It's by David Seeley, a religion faculty member here at BYU. And it comes from a book from the RSC called New Testament History, Culture, and Society. And in this article, Brother Seeley talks about three temples that we see in the scriptures. The first one is Solomon's temple. Then, during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, the second temple, or what's sometimes called Zerubbabel's temple. And then finally, what we often refer to as Herod's temple during the early New Testament period. And the second temple replaces Solomon's temple that had been destroyed by the Babylonians. And then Herod comes along and he does a major remodeling project with it. And so that's why it often is referred to as Herod's temple, although technically it's still the same temple that was rebuilt under Zerubbabel. And so in this article, he talks about these three different temples and compares them a little bit, and then talks about the site itself, the Temple Mount, and its association with Mount Moriah. And then he goes through and he explains some of the types of worship that took place in the temples, the festivals that were celebrated there, the clothing of the priests, Levites, and others attending the temple and working there, symbolism of the temple, the role of the temple during the New Testament and first century period. And then finally, he ends discussing the destruction of the temple by the Romans in 70 AD. The second article is called Between the Testaments. It's by Joshua Matson, an institute teacher, and it also comes from the same volume of New Testament History, Culture, and Society. And Joshua, in this article, basically breaks down a lot of the time period at the end of the Old Testament, in between the Old and New Testament, and then ends also basically with the destruction of the Jerusalem temple in 70 AD. And so he has different sections where he reviews the historical context of those periods. The first one is the period of destruction and exile, which goes from the Assyrian through the Babylonian period. Then returning from exile in Judea under Persian rule, which is primarily the time period of Ezra and Nehemiah that we're reading about this week. And then he proceeds forward in time with the Hellenization of Judea under the Greek empires after Alexander the Great, a period of revolt and restitution when the Jews rebel, sometimes known as the Maccabean Revolt, in around 165 BC. And then that led to a period of basic self-independence under the Hasmonean dynasty until the Romans came along in 63 BC and they conquer this area and then rule this area through the Herodians. And I guess one common characteristic that Brother Matson points out throughout these time periods is the rising divisiveness that emerges within Judaism, both the sectarian differences, where you now have Pharisees and Sadducees and so forth, but also differences in how to interact with these imperial powers, whether to allow them to rule or to try to rebel against them and so forth.